All right, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Mike. I'm a meteorologist here at the National Weather Service in Louisville, and we'll go ahead and get started for, in case you haven't heard, it's going to be a winter storm coming. So we'll talk about the different aspects of this storm, impacts and amounts and probabilities and all that thereof. So bear with me. This is kind of a lengthy one because there's a lot to cover. So we'll go ahead and start here with the key messages. We have a winter storm warning in effect for a good part of the state, Saturday morning through Monday morning. And we're looking at snow totals anywhere from 3 to 15 inches. And then you have some, ice, freezing rain potential too, anywhere from a glaze to half an inch plus across portions of the state of Kentucky and even south central Indiana here, mostly for the snow that far north. But so there's that. We're expecting major impacts here. Large snow amounts and those ice totals will bring impacts to the roadways, utilities, and just general daily life. So expect power outages, expect impassable roadways across the area. And if you don't have to travel, we recommend that you don't, only for emergencies, let the road crews do their jobs. But we're looking at large snow and ice totals, and they're subject to change. The forecast here has wobbled a little bit over the last couple of days, depending on the models that you're looking at and the data that's coming in. So these numbers could change as we move forward. It's still a little early here as we're about 48 hours out, but just keep that in mind that what you're seeing today may change and probably will change as we lead up to the Saturday here coming up. So please stay tuned to the forecast as things change, and we'll be sending out new updated slides as they come. But there's still that storm track uncertainty as it's taking more of a northerly path. So if you kind of look down there in the southeast part of Kentucky, that used to have higher snow totals than what you're seeing now, which is like 3 to 6 or something like that. So I'll show that here in a second. But yeah, still uncertainty as it's taking a northerly track. But our confidence is high that we're going to get a winter storm of some kind. And we're going to have some significant wintry accumulation of some kind everywhere across the state of Kentucky and south central Indiana. And then once this storm passes, we have dangerously cold temperatures and wind chills through the midweek. And honestly, we don't really see going above freezing for much of the state. Maybe somewhere in South Kentucky, maybe around the Lake Cumberland area, maybe next week sometime. But it's going to be cold for a while, folks. So just keep that in mind as well. Once the storm passes, we're not quite out of the woods yet. So here's that winter storm warning for much of south central, south Indiana there, as well as Kentucky. There's still a watch for northern Kentucky and over towards the Ashland area, but we're expecting that to convert here at some point soon. But really want to highlight that we have a very high confidence that this is going to happen. We moved that slider bar there all the way to the top of high. We really can't go any higher. We know we're going to get a winter storm, so keep that in mind. And we have major impacts on the docket here for power outages, the roadways, utilities, down trees, all infrastructure really will be taxed here. So just keep that in mind too, Saturday through Sunday evening. All right, let's talk probabilities for a minute. So, it's a 100% chance we're going to see wintry precipitation of some kind across Kentucky and south central Indiana. So, these are the probabilities of starting with 8 inches of snow. And, I'm not much of a betting man, but when I see 90% of 8 inches of snow, that's pretty high. So, there's going to be some places, especially along the I-64 corridor between Louisville, Lexington, and areas northward, that you have a pretty darn good shot of seeing 8 inches or more of snow. So our confidence is medium in the forecast just because of the wobbling of the models and trying to keep track of where the warm intrusion in the lower levels will be. Because even a little bit of changes in the temperatures there can result in a big difference in what you see at the ground, whether it's snow, sleet, or freezing rain. But there's a good chance of seeing at least 8 inches of snow for much of the state. And then this is the probability of exceeding 15 inches of snow. And we're on the board, Louisville, Lexington, up to Covington, northern, Kentucky there. I mean, it's a 50-50 coin flip to seeing, 15 or more. So again, confidence is medium here, and we're really kind of keeping an eye on how this storm is going to track, if it keeps going north or not. But just keep that in mind that there's significant probabilities for a good amount of snow here. Okay, so that was the snow part. Let's go to the ice probabilities. So much of the ice looks like it will accumulate more towards the southern end of Kentucky and maybe even into the eastern Kentucky mountains. I think south central Indiana, you're probably out of the main threat for that ice, but stay tuned to the forecast because that could change. These are all preliminary numbers. This is the probability of exceeding a 1/4 inch of ice, and you have 20, 30, 40% down there along southern Kentucky. So a pretty good chance seeing that type of forecast. So be careful down that way. Okay, so that was the probabilities. Let's go ahead and talk about the deterministic side of things. So as it stands right now, this is our most reasonable expectation for how much snowfall we're going to get. So those blue areas are like 3 to 4 inches. As you start getting into the yellow areas, that's 6 to 8. And then the oranges are like 8 plus. In some places, you could even see 12 plus inches of snow. So that's for south central Indiana and the state of Kentucky here. So the big thing is that when it starts snowing, there's a decent amount of moisture in the atmosphere with this system on top of cold air, which you're going to get an inch an hour, maybe even a little bit more than that at times in some of the heavier snow rates. So again, this is all subject to change, but when it comes down, especially in the heart of the storm system, Saturday evening into Sunday morning, it could come down in a hurry, and some of the road crews might have a hard time keeping up. Those road crews do a great job and work tirelessly to keep the roads open, but just keep that in mind that the roads, if they're not deteriorating, they could soon after you travel. So try to avoid traveling as best you can and prepare ahead of time now to get supplies before the storm hits. Okay, so with the temperatures, being on the colder side, at least for Saturday, the snow ratio, that's how heavy or how dry the snow will be. It's going to start on the more fluffy side, the dry side. So it shouldn't be terribly heavy. But as we move into Sunday and we warm up just a bit, especially down there for South Kentucky, we could see more of a heavy wet snow in addition to some ice accumulations there. So the heavier the snow is, the more difficult it'll be to move or shovel. So please be careful, take frequent breaks when shoveling. Don't overdo it, because every year there's folks that get into trouble with heart attacks and whatnot, or just overdoing it because they're going out and pushing that snow. So try to help us message that and be careful with shoveling snow, that the heavier it is, the greater risk you have to your health. So we're looking at the forecast ice amounts here. There's a lot in southern Kentucky, of course. You can see a 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch, or even greater than 1/2 inch in some places there down in the south part of Kentucky. But the greatest uncertainty here is in this dashed white area. This is that area where that transition zone is going to set up between snow and freezing rain and maybe even some sleet. This is the greatest uncertainty on what kind of snow amounts we're going to see, or maybe even some ice there. So even a little bit of a fluctuation one way or another with the storm track, or even a degree or two and a temperature change up above the ground level, can make a big difference. So again, these are all preliminary numbers, but just keep that in mind that the numbers could vary greatly here, especially in this area in the white dash. We're looking for this to get started in the western part of the state on Saturday morning early, sometime around 5, 6, even to 8 a.m. And then gradually kind of progress across the state here up towards south central Indiana around noontime, even into the early afternoon. And then northern Kentucky there after 5 o'clock p.m. Eastern time. These are all Eastern times here. So gradually through the day, Saturday, conditions will worsen. And then through Saturday evening and Saturday morning, it'll be the brunt of the storm. But we're expecting things to start moving out Sunday, at least for the heavier snow time frame, on Sunday afternoon and evening there in the west. And then after midnight, as you progress across Kentucky, towards after midnight. So pretty prolonged event here. We're talking 30 plus hours of snow, ice, sleet, some kind of winter precipitation here with this storm. So very significant storm on tap here. And then we talked about the cold at the teaser at the beginning here, but we're looking at minimum temperatures being pretty darn cold, especially Monday and Tuesday there, even in the negatives in some spots. And then the wind chill translates to even up to -10, -12, -13. I see -15 here on the map for Lexington. It's going to get really, really cold there Tuesday morning. So, help us to message bundling up and dressing in layers, and try to avoid going outside, especially if you're elderly or of the younger folks of our population. They're more sensitive to cold. And the temperatures are going to remain below freezing for a long time, pretty much through all next week. So looking at dangerous impacts for maybe melting snow and power outages, and combining with these cold temperatures, that's not a good recipe there. So check on neighbors, make sure you dress warm, you have extra blankets and things, and just in case the power goes out. So I'm going to come back to the slide in just a second, but here's just a key messages slide that you can help us message. This will be sent out with the email package coming shortly. So if you don't have it yet, it'll be in your inbox shortly. But you can feel free to take this and share it on social media or redistribute it to your email distribution lists to help us message, prepping ahead of time, prepping now for your vehicle, your home, having that plan. Ready.gov/kit, KIT, is a good site if folks are asking you about how to prepare and what they can put in their kits. So that's all good stuff there as good reminders. Okay, so with all of that was long. There's a lot to cover. So this is the summary slide. And if you haven't figured it out already, I think people have already been asking questions, but feel free in your question box to go ahead and ask questions. And we'll try to go ahead and get to those as they come in and kind of go from there. But appreciate your time today, everybody, and thanks for joining and staying weather aware, and ask that you continue to do so over the next couple of days. I'll wait a little bit, but if there's no pertinent questions, we will plan on having a conference call most likely tomorrow again, just to give you one last big update before the system hits on Saturday. So you can expect that whenever that comes out at some point today. So Zachary, yeah, you asked about the snow and ice accumulations for the Louisville area. Check back with us tomorrow. We'll probably put out another update sometime in the morning for an additional slide blast, and then most likely have another conference call by this time tomorrow afternoon. As there's a low pressure system coming on shore out in the west, and as that comes on shore and we get a better sample of it with weather balloons and whatnot, our forecast confidence will just continue to increase. So just letting you know that that's something, the next 24 hours or so. But I will say that our confidence is still high, that we're going to see big snow and big ice somewhere. It's just a matter of, how much. Yeah, so there'll be another conference call tomorrow at some point. Stay tuned on the time there. I'm going to check with our forecast crew and make sure that we have a time that works for everybody. But it'll most likely be similar timing as today, probably around 3 o'clock. Yes, Roberta, the slides are coming. You can also get the slides on weather.gov/Louisville or /Lexington or /LMK. I'll put that in the chat here. But they're always posted on the top of the website there too for the latest updates. And I just shared that as a link. So feel free to click on that link, and the most current information is always on that site. Somebody's asking about timing, so let's go back here. So this is the timing slide again, and this will come to your inbox here shortly if you don't have it already. But yeah, we're looking at through the day Saturday is the heaviest snow onset time, and then it ends sometime Sunday evening to overnight. Let's see, someone's asking about comparing history here. Lucas is asking. So for Louisville, the record was 15.5 inches for a daily snowfall, and that was back in '94, 15.5. So if we see that in any 24-hour period, or not any 24-hour period, but the daily 24-hour period, then that would be a new record, at least for Louisville. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. I'm not sure we're going to see that. That's in our forecast. There's definitely a chance for that, but we'll have to see how it all pans out. But that's a good question.
Okay, this is Ryan Sharp. I got to take over because Mike is about to do another call that he has here. So I'm going to try to go through the questions as I see them. And let's see if, okay, impacts to the Paducah area. I'm going to let the Paducah office deal with that. You saw the snow maps, you saw the timing there. We can chat later about that one. How will the wind speeds impact the event? Well, initially, I don't know if there's going to be that much in the way of winds because this is more of a just a what's the word? It's generated because of the temperature difference between the north and the south, and I'm not as worried about winds impacting the snow here. So we're not considering kind of like a blizzard or anything in that condition. Louisville area getting into the ice. If we're able to get any kind of a low pressure that forms that moves into Kentucky on Sunday, that's when we might be able to pull some of that warmer air up north. Initially, as that, I think Mike had showed the graphic about the characteristics of the snow. Saturday was it's just going to be cold out there and we're just going to have snow. But Sunday is when you get into that where you have a little bit better chance, especially across southern Kentucky, for that ice and wintry mix to come in. So that's the potential there. Can you reiterate the predicted arrival and end times and speak to the confidence level? Let me see if I can get those slides up here for you, Sean. Oh, let's see. So arrival times, again, for the Louisville area, we're looking at anywhere between 11 a.m. and 5 p.m. on Saturday. For the heavier snow, we might get some light flurries, maybe in there even earlier than that. But for right now, we're going to see that the rates pick up as you go through the afternoon on Saturday. South Kentucky is going to be more in the morning hours, 7 to 11 a.m. And then the ending times we're looking at as far as the heavier snow on Sunday, out of the Louisville area by 7 to 9 p.m. Out of the, if you go east of the I-65 corridor, you're looking at 8 p.m. to midnight for that time frame there. Let's see. Do you feel the path is pretty set, Sean? I know temps might affect totals, but does that affect the path? There is some potential there. And remember, we're talking about a system that's pretty far out here right now, but the only thing that we had enough confidence to be able to issue a winter storm warning because we're going to see that greater than 4 inches of snow. We're going to see that potential for ice down south. So it's fairly early for us. I don't know if it's a record for how far out we've issued a winter storm warning. But it just the main idea is to be ready for moderate to major impacts, to disruptions to daily life, extremely hazardous travel across the area. Compared to the history in the 90s with the ice in southern Kentucky, how does this compare? Right now, it's not looking like it's that high of a number for Kentucky. They may get some more bad conditions down in Tennessee. So I'm not thinking Lucas as far as the history for here in Kentucky. Let me go backwards in questions a little bit. Hopefully I didn't delete the wrong question. Right. What would you say is the biggest difference in this forecast from the last? We're just increasing the ice chances down south a little bit compared to what we had before. But the probabilities have actually increased, the confidence, the probabilities in getting that foot of snow along in northern Kentucky. The last couple of slide sets that we've had out have had pretty high chances, especially for an event that far out. And as we get closer in time, we're just getting more and more confident that's going to be able to happen. And then Elise Jackson County, Indiana is Indy's weather. Can you say anything about that? Well, you guys are under a winter storm watch. I'm not sure if they went ahead and upgraded to a warning just yet. I think that they're waiting. It's us early, and then it's going to get into their area a little bit later. So the potential's still there, Alyssa. No questions. Thanks, Randy. Thanks for all your help with the Pathfinder and the other stuff that we deal with. Harry, do you anticipate the ice to be on the front or the back side of the storm? Well, it would be more in the middle because like we said on Saturday, we're expecting it all to be just snow. If it's going to happen at all, it'll be in there into Sunday. So yeah, and then the back side of it'll change back over to snow again. Let's see. Will this be similar to last year where we had snow, then ice, then snow, then ice again? God, I hope not, Adam. That was a mess last year, having an Oreo sandwich in my yard and dealing with that for a week. No, it looks like this will be just the snow. And then for southern Kentucky, they may have the ice on top of that and then a little bit of snow, but I don't think you'll have the four-peat there. What about the Scottsburg area? Assuming you're talking about Scottsburg, Indiana. Again, you guys are in that range of 8 to 12 inches of snow is what our most likely forecast is. And then the ice potential should stay well to your south. Timing up there should be 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. for onset and 7 to 9 p.m. for the end period. And then can we see the estimates of the snow one more time? That assumes that I can present my screen. So hang on one second. I think it is this, not my webcam. Show my screen. And I'll put this slide up there as the one that you can see. And let me put it in slideshow mode so you can see it bigger. Okay, so hopefully that helps. Is that what you're seeing on yours? Yeah, it looks good. Okay, good. And is there another system coming Wednesday? There may be, but right now there's nothing that looks giant. There's not anything that looks nearly as big as this storm. It may just be another dusting of snow. It's going to be cold again, so it would just be snow in that case, Billy. And I think that's all the questions. Let me double check. Yes, Dylan, you asked the question about the hourly snow rates. There will be some periods in there where we get 1 inch per hour snow rates. That's what's going to make it the most difficult for travel because that's going to make it hard for the plows to stay up with the snow that's coming down. They're going to have to wait for those to at least to get all the roads cleared for those rates to come down a little bit to be able to get through and any other corrective measures they have. But another thing to note here is that Saturday temperatures are going to be really cold. This is going to be an Arctic air mass that's in place over us. And that can make some of your typical treatment methods not work as well. They're going to have to use some other chemicals out there to get that first snow out of here. All right, I think that's all the questions for now. If we didn't get to your question, you can just send an email to us, lmk.ops@noaa.gov. and or call the office if you have our number. So we really appreciate your time and good luck with this. We will talk with